Hello everyone, Don here with the next update on the W.A.R Corsair project. As you can see today, I'm going to try and form the plexiglass for the windshield, and this is my mold, basically pattern to lay the plexiglass on after it's heated up to temperature. This is a drape mold form, basically just heat it up till it's nice and soft, take it out and then just lay it on here. This is a piece of flannel, cotton flannel, so it won't stick, and then underneath it's just a piece of aluminum flashing. The pattern on this thing, on this one end, is from the actual canopy opening, where the canopy butts up against. This would be the top of the window, and this is the bottom at the top of the fuselage. So this is a jig to get the correct shape to match the existing form. So all I got to do is heat the plexiglass up, bring it out, lay it across here, and then I've got a couple strips of wood with a clamp that's going to clamp on the bottom of this. There's another piece of this on the back side, so this will just clamp over the top of the plexiglass to hold it down until it cools off, and that'll hold its shape so the ends don't kind of lift up from just hanging. The plastic is as long as this basically form is, and same thing over here. So I've got a piece of plexiglass here. This is only like 90 thousandths hanging. You can just barely see it here. But that's 15 inches by 3 foot. And what I got is some of these little metal spring clamps, and I pocketed it on a piece of aluminum. Got a couple hangers, and this is kind of the idea I was talking about with a piece of angle. But I'll get a couple pieces of steel. It'll be basically the whole length of this. I just did this as a temporary. It's all I have. I don't have any steel on hand, but it's enough to support this piece of plexi. The other end is free to float. There's nothing here. So it's ready to heat up. What I'll do is I'll get this up, I'll take that out, close the oven, bring it up to about 320 degrees Fahrenheit. And the idea is for every 1/10 of an inch of material, you have to heat it for at least 1 minute per every 10th. So this is basically 90 thousandths, 9/10 of an inch thick. So it'd be 9 minutes, 1 minute per 10th. Per hundredths, I guess, 10 hundredths, yes, not tenths. So heat her up for about 9 to 10 minutes at 320 degrees. That's the temperature needed for draping. When I go to do the actual canopy mold for that one, that's like 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, get this oven turned on, get it up to temperature, throw that in, put the timer on, give her about 9 to 10 minutes. Check it, pull it out, bring it over, drape it on there, clamp it down, and let it cool. This piece of cloth here had it was folded up into a small package, and it had a lot of wrinkles in it, so I had to take it in the house and iron out enough of it just to do this. I was originally going to throw it over top, just kind of hold some of the heat down while it cools down slowly, but it should be okay. Today's basically low 60s. It's kind of getting a little cool now, but I'll end up shutting the door down to do this, and once this thing's up and running, I'll go ahead and get my tripod, and I'll set this up on a tripod, so when I come back I'll turn it on, pull that out, drape it, and see how well it goes. If I screw it up, I still have one more piece left. That piece I bought was big enough to get 2 of them out of there. So we'll go from there. Everything's ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this here, and when I be back, it'll be ready to pull out of the oven. See you in a minute. Okay everybody, I'm back. Well, things didn't go according to plan. As you can see, I had a little problem here. I didn't bother recording this because once I seen it curling up, what happened was it started curling inside the cabinet. Started on the bottom edges, started curling. And so it was like, wasn't much I can do for it. I just wanted to see if it started rolling in slightly, and I was hoping it was going to go spring back, but it didn't. It just kept curling and curling and curling all the way up around. And then as it was in there for a while, it was only in there for maybe 5 minutes or less. It got plenty hot, and then it started blistering because this end is down towards the heating elements. But as you can see, the curls went almost all the way to the top. You can see where the clamps were. Well, this is already set. I mean, it's already cool and set, but it did drape really well. I mean, that I can say. It did make a nice drape, but it just blistered pretty good. So I got a step back, rethink this. At the very least, it's going to require a clamp or straps on the bottom to keep it from curling. I'm going to lower the temperatures down. I actually turned it up to the high end of the temperature, 320 degrees. But as you say, it started blistering, so that's telling me it was too hot too soon. So I've turned it down all the way to the minimum for what they call drape forming, which is 290 degrees. So I'll try that on the next piece. But first I'm going to have to make another set of clamps, just something to clamp the bottom to keep it from trying to curl again. I still have a feeling the middle of it's going to want to curl. And even if it does that, it's not going to do well because my form it's 15 inches wide and I need 14 inches. So if it starts curling and it won't lay flat when I drape it, it was really soft and easy to drape. But once this curled, it stuck to itself. It wouldn't pull apart even when it was soft. It literally stuck like glue. So I'm going to go ahead and sit down and ponder this before I try the second piece. I mean, it was $30 just for this piece here. That'd give me 2 shots. So $30 a pop to do this. But I don't know if clamping the bottom is going to be good. If it's going to hold things, going to have to be clamped in a frame, but that's not going to allow for draping too well. I think it might just have been a little high temp. So I'll try 290 degrees on the second one, see what happens. Alright, I'll get back to you with the next one when I get there. Okay everybody, I did some thinking and investigating, and what I needed to do was find out if my temperature in the cabinet was what the PID thermocouple was saying it was. So I ran up to the store and I bought one of these oven thermometers. Still warm, I was doing some testing. But turns out when you fire this thing up initially and when that thing gets up to temperature, that's the thermocouples that it can handle. Right now it's 58 degrees Celsius and it's set for 160. But when you turn that on and when this thing reaches the 160 set point, and I looked at the thermometer, that's probably going to be 450 plus degrees. When it first comes on, these things put out a tremendous amount of heat, and this air in this cabin heats up so much faster than this thermocouple that it overshoots by well over 100 degrees. So after I get it up to temperature, I went and threw the plexiglass in there to heat it up, and the cabinet, you know, it was set for 320 and it was running over 450 degrees. So that's why the mold started melting the plastic, because it was really cooking in there. So after I pulled that out and got that in there and started testing it, you got to let this thing run for about 15-20 minutes to stabilize. Even though it overshoots by 100 degrees, it slowly comes back down, and then it finally stabilizes about 20 degrees higher on this gauge than what the thermocouple says it's reading. Now I'm not exactly sure what kind of thermocouple that's meant to be, if it's supposed to be a touch probe or a liquid probe. It's a kind of a generic thing. So I was on the internet today searching thermocouples and went to McMaster Car because I know they sell them. And I found out that you can get thermocouples for airs. They use it for air or oven. They have them for liquids, they have them for solids, and such. I mean, they're contact ones. They have kind that'll just bolt to a metal plate and it'll read the temperature of the plate. But I need an air probe, and the air probe has an actual shell, a tube with holes in it, and the sensor's in the center of it, and it's meant to have air blowing across it. So I got one ordered off of eBay. They were like 20 bucks. It's still a K-type thermocouple, but it's only rated to 600 degrees. I don't know if that was Celsius or Fahrenheit, but either way, both of them are too high for what I need. So what I'm going to do now is get the new thermocouple. The lead might be a little short. I don't know if it's I think it was 40 some inches. I might be able to go around the outside of the cabinet and come in through the back and stick it in. It's a fairly short thermocouple, but it's a braided hose on the outside, kind of similar to, I think, this one here. This one here is the same type. There's actually 2 elements inside of this one, but it's a real short lead. It's only about 3 feet. So I was going to try that, but it's still more more for a liquid type application. It's for water, liquids touching it, so it reacts quicker. It's a little too slow on reaction. So I got that all coming, but I'm going to run a bunch of tests on this, and it will stabilize and hold temperature really well, but you got to let it settle in first. Alright, so that's going to be the update for now. I'm not going to do any more plexiglass forming until I get the new thermocouple in and test it. And I was playing with some of the settings on the PID, the actual P, I, and D settings in here. And the P setting is 30, the I is 240, and the D is 60. So I ended up bumping it all the way up to 100 on the P, which seemed, and you know, I set the other two to 0 to try and see what this thing will ramp up at. But the problem is the heat comes in quicker than the sensor can detect it. So until I get an air temp sensor in there, I'm not going to try and do any more plexiglass forming. So I'm going to go ahead and, I got it ordered. It'll be here sometime next week. So meanwhile, I'm going to go back to doing some work on the Corsair. As you can see, I got the tires off right now, so that'll be my next video. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. As soon as I get this thing up and running, I'll show it to you after that. So for now, this is going to be the end of the update for the cabinet until I get my new SSRs are in Pittsburgh today, so I should have them. If they don't deliver it tomorrow, on Sunday, I'll have them Monday. But this is working as long as I don't try to shoot right up to 200 degrees Celsius where it wants to stick. But if I run it up to like 100, then 150, then 200, it's fine. Because I was running it well over 200 today without it having any troubles. But if you run it straight up, it sticks. But I got two new ones coming to put in there, so I'll split them, one for each element. Alright, so as always, folks, appreciate you taking your time to watch my videos. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, or concerns, and I'll answer them as they come through. So for this last oven update, this is Dino Don out.